Good evening, everybody. Tonight we read from 1 Timothy chapter 1 and Proverbs 5. So, starting off in Timothy.
Well, these are the last two letters that Paul wrote before his execution in Rome. And he had a mentee, Timothy or Timotheus in the Greek, and he was just pretty much encouraging Timothy to stay in place and do the assignment that God had given him. And that really spoke to me in verse 3. It says, "As I besought thee to abide still at Ephesus." He had a work there, and the Lord has been speaking to me as far as me being antsy, like, oh, I want to go here, and I want to leave this career location and perhaps soar and branch out and do some more. And the Lord was like, no, Michelle. And I had to tell a coworker of mine who's leaving the classroom, and she was encouraging me, girl, you got this, you got the same degree, you need to leave. But I told her Sunday, I said, and the Lord told me this, he was like, Michelle, stay your tail there until I tell you otherwise. Just like that. Keep your tail there. So, because I have a work for you to do there, and I know that you're getting impatient. So, the Lord abides us to be still at some places, and we have a work to do. And again, Timothy had a work to challenge people there, because there was some crazy stuff. It says, neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies which administer questions, and rather than godly edifying, which is in faith, so do. Now the end of the commandment is charity out of a pure heart and of good conscience and of faith unfeigned. So he was there to challenge people who were older, who had more experience, but it doesn't matter if you're young or if you are middle age. In the kingdom, God can use you at any age. And I was telling Timotheus, it's so funny. There's this rap artist here in Chicago, and when I looked at her, I was like, oh, I recognize the eyes. And then I was reading like, oh, her mother was the first African-American woman bookstore. I was like, that has to be Desiree. And lo and behold, I said, I remember when her mother was located at my school downtown, and I would go in her bookstore and we would have good conversations. I remember when this rapper No Name was a baby. So small world, but what I'm saying is this is the generation that they could do great things. So take off. No Name is 29 years old, but look, you're 19, 10 years younger. Woo! You all are the Timothys of this generation. What do you got to say about that?
Yeah, we got the opportunity, so gotta use it.
Yeah. And just reading and reading about some of her songs and how she transitioned into the rap industry. And I knew Chance. Everybody know Chance. From the Bennett family. Went to the same churches. You didn't know that, Covenant Faith. Right here. Yeah, so all of us grew up together. But what I'm saying is God uses the young people in this generation to do great things. Don't drop the baton, because so much has been poured into you all. And don't take it for granted. All right, we are in Proverbs 5.
Yeah, I like verse 22.
22. His own iniquities shall take the wicked himself, and he shall be holden with the cords of his sins. Because the verse before it says, for the ways of man are before the eyes of the Lord, and he pondereth all his goings. That's a good one.
Okay. So, tired of people making excuses for ignorant behavior. I mean, yeah, like your environment plays a factor on it. But when you continue to make excuses for people and not solutions, then that's just going to continue that behavior. And you're just making excuses for them to behave the way they do, instead of like saying like, no, this is not okay, like, and creating like an alternative, like, okay, do this instead. And I feel like in a lot of Chicago public schools, like the black students and the white teachers, they always try to coddle their students and stuff like that and comfort them, like, oh, he comes from this. Like, no, like, be firm with them, or like so that they won't do that anymore. Instead of justifying why they do act that way. So that's why I have to go in the education system. Like something got to change. Ain't no way a white teacher should be running a black school. Like that's like a white president at HBC. You know what I'm saying? But I'm done.
God can use anybody, but I want you to remember verse 13 as you go into the system in a classroom. You know what? You want our students to develop a love of learning, and they will not have this testimony. Oh, I've hated my teachers and I've obeyed not their instruction. No, we want to make it so that it's attractive, because this generation is taking over and they're going to do great things, like the young Timothys, like the young no names, like the young Chance rappers, like the young Timotheuses. So praise the Lord. Have a wonderful evening.